Hi everyone!
Hey there,
My name is Prachi.
and I'm Harsh.
Welcome to our podcast, which we're planning to call.
Living out loud. Yes, that's the name. It's been in the works for a while now.
Mm,
Here we are recording it. This is completely impromptu.
we are just complete novices when it comes to podcasting, but we've dreamed about having our own because I think Harsh and I have the best conversations and none of them go recorded, but we have such deep, motivating, spiritual conversations that I wish were recorded. So this podcast is our try with doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome to this beautiful podcast. And I'm so happy that's finally happening. We have had these mics for over a year now.
Oh, for a year and a half, we bought these expensive podcasting mics and we were like, let's record a podcast. And then we shut that idea in some corner of our brain for the last year and a half.
Finally, we have got the courage. Finally, we have got the jazba to make it happen. We got the courage, the jazba. It's happening right now.
Welcome to the first episode of Living Out Loud.
In this episode, we're going to talk a bit about our last 3 years of travel and what we have learned on this journey.
Yeah. So the thing is, we've been. Okay, let's just tell you the backstory, who we are. If this is the first time you're watching us and you don't know who we are, then let's just tell you a bit backstory and how we've found ourselves to start a podcast. My name is Prachi and Harsh is my partner and husband. We have a digital empire in the making.
Yes, it's a digital empire in the
in the
making.
making. We started an Instagram page in January 2021. That was the beginning, and that sort of blew up, and we became travel bloggers, if that's what you want to call it. We traveled all over India and to a lot of countries in the world, and I completed 7 continents this
Yes,
year.
we went to Antarctica as well. That's how the 7 continents got completed.
So it's been pretty crazy how much we've been able to do just by starting an Instagram account. And I guess this podcast has come up because with Instagram, we felt there wasn't enough space to express ourselves. It's super curated and you only have 30 seconds to say what you want. You have to gather people's attention and can't bore people because everyone has the attention of a grape. So we
So-
thought, why not explore long form content?
Yeah, and we wanted like a platform where we can be candid as possible. When it comes to Instagram or when it comes to short form content, you put in the best stuff only, and people only want to see all that hype. But there are a lot of lows as well. There are a lot of struggles as well.
And there's a lot of random funny stuff that never makes it. Harsh and I are just super kooky people. I think people don't know that enough. Is that we are really weird and we are very lame, but we think we're funny. So we thought, why
That-
not? We thought, why not have everyone know we're lame but funny? We explored long form content on YouTube and done a few videos there, and I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, this is why we're doing this podcast. We're calling it Living Out Loud because that's what we want to do. We just want to be who we are. We don't want to be afraid or ashamed to state our opinions. We're proud.
Yeah, adding to that, living out loud, and also the fact that what we're doing right now, we're building a life where we have the freedom to be ourselves, do what we want, be where we want. And that for me is what living out loud means.
So, yes, let's take you on a rewind trip of these last 3 years. We'll take you through everything we've been through and our travels. It may take a long time, but that's why we're doing a podcast.
Exactly.
We'll recap everything and tell you where we are right now and where we hope to be going with this podcast and also in our future.
Perfect. I think let's start from the very beginning when we got engaged and went to Dubai
Right.
for our first international trip.
So that was 2021, the beginning of January. We had just gotten engaged.
You just got
and
engaged.
we scraped by some money to put together a last minute trip to Dubai.
Thanks to our family.
Who gave us gifts
A lot of gifts.
on our engagement.
We
Thank
could
you.
make that entire
Thank you,
international trip
guys.
happen. Thank you so much.
That's why we went to Dubai and we just wanted to travel, but we never got the opportunity to. One, because we didn't have enough money to travel internationally. I was barely out of college and Harsh was figuring things out in his first few years with a job. And everyone knows how hard that is. So we made a trip to Dubai happen and realized we want to keep traveling. We'd been together for 5 years up until that point, just living and dating in Mumbai. And then we're like, let's go to Dubai. Went to Dubai and now we're like, I want to see the whole world. That was the vibe. We came back from Dubai and we were in a hotel quarantine. In that hotel room, we came up with the idea of starting an Instagram account. We decided to call it Two Tickets to Freedom. We love that name. We still love that name. And that's how most of y'all, if you're hearing this podcast or seeing the video podcast on the first day of its release, that's how you probably know us and how you've known us so far is by the name Two Tickets to Freedom. That's what our Instagram handle was for a long time. We just changed that recently. I'll tell you the story of why we changed that. Now we are in 2021 and we've just come back from Dubai. We started an Instagram account called Two Tickets to Freedom. We have no idea how we're going to travel. We
Yeah.
have no money. We've spent all our money on the Dubai trip.
So come February, it's Prachi's birthday time, birthday month, and we decide that let's take a road trip to Goa. But this time, instead of traveling like vacationers, we will rather travel as content creators. Made our first content creation trip to Goa, where we had a tripod which was just hanging by a thread, by the way.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
was
remember
like a
that?
200 rupee tripod from Amazon.
Yeah. So before we started trying content creation, we were working in digital marketing. And that's where we had the tripod from
Mm-hmm.
because we used to use it for clients. So yeah, we
Yes, that's the backstory of our tripod.
yeah. Yeah.
And then we went to Goa, as Harsh said, and we were just like laser focused on getting basic photos and trying to record some videos from our phone as well. We didn't invest in any equipment. We were doing everything from our phone. And yeah,
And
I don't know why, but people like the content we put out in Goa.
yeah, and like when we started off, we had a few hundred people. And I still remember the time when I was driving, Prachi was on the left hand side, and she's doing stories. And this is the first time I'm seeing this happen from behind the scene. And I'm like, oh, you're doing stories? They're like, yeah, people are asking us where you're going, what are you going to do there?
And this is like 100 people who are following
All
us
family
and
and
all our
friends.
family and friends.
And I'm going with the vibe because I knew that Prachi had a very clear vision on where this is going.
I was just winging it really.
Yeah, but the winging was so powerful, so confident. I knew she's got this. That's why we're here right now.
Hmm.
At that point, we didn't even know that we are getting into content creation full time. We were just experimenting.
We were really into it. Even for those 100 people following us, we were doing our best, putting out content like it was professional and that we were getting paid to do it. We went to Goa. We made videos. People liked those videos. Some of them ended up going viral.
Super viral.
And
like,
we got our first 10,000 followers from those videos.
this was also a time that Instagram put out reels.
Oh, yeah. Instagram had
And-
just launched Reels.
And we made the most of reels. We were doing dance trends, putting the tripod in Goa and just dancing.
For the first time ever in front of crowds. It was awkward. I remember you were really awkward.
I admit it. I was super awkward. I think I've become less awkward over the last
yeah,
few
you
months.
sure have.
And we've been doing this for 3 years now.
You
so
sure
you guess.
have. Yeah. So it was super awkward, but we pushed through it. We did it. And our stuff ended up going viral. We started getting followers. We started getting brands who wanted to work with us and invite us to their properties. We were just talking about this today when we got invited by Nehamrit Farms.
There was a beautiful Balinese property close to Mumbai. And it was the first time someone told us that you can come over. All you have to do is create a video of the property and you
Yeah.
get a free stay. And,
And
we're like,
don't
what?
pay for it. And we're like, whoa.
Is this real? Is this happening?
Wow.
And we were so excited. Like
Yeah.
that level of excitement is different only.
Yeah.
That was our first stay collaboration.
Stay collaboration. We also got brands that started paying us. But this story is about our travels. Where did we go after Goa?
After Goa, I think we went to North India.
No.
To Andaman. Wow, so many trips. Somewhere in there.
We went to Andaman and then Andaman shut down.
And Andaman shut down because of a COVID scare. Like, there's
Yeah.
one more wave coming up. So we were trapped in Andaman.
We just reached the island and they're like, oops, everything's shutting from tomorrow.
But that was an invite by someone. On the first day, we explored a bit. After that,
We ended up doing nothing for those next 4 days, but we were alone on a small island. We got to know people. Even though we couldn't go to the beach, it was still fun. But yeah, we were really not done with Andaman. So we ended up going back in a few months. Then after Andaman,
we went to Valley of Flowers
yeah,
because we got an invite
again
to stay.
from Rishikesh, somewhere in
Rishikesh.
Rishikesh. So we stayed in Rishikesh for a bit and then did a trip to Valley of Flowers,
And
which
there
was our
was
first trek.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Yeah, that was also really fun. And then after that, oh, I'm sorry if you can hear some ducks or birds
Welcome
cawing.
to nature.
Yeah, we are sitting outside in a farm in the middle of South Africa. So, yeah, you're going to hear a lot of stuff. Yeah, what did we do after Rishikesh? This is why we have our phone so we can open up our albums.
We can open up our albums and have a timeline look at exactly
Yeah.
where we were.
The thing is, we've experienced so much But I don't think I've completely processed everything.
We never got a chance to.
I don't even have proper memories. I have to look at photos to remember what happened because I can't remember. After Rishikesh, we did Rajasthan. We went to Udaipur and Jaipur.
We went to Udaipur and Jaipur.
We
Yes.
came back and got married immediately. Then went to
Maldives.
we did the Amazon shoot.
We went to Delhi first
We
for
went
2
to
days.
Delhi
2, 3
first.
days.
Yeah. So at that point, we got invited by Amazon to shoot like a Diwali campaign. And it was like a month-long thing. So we did 2 days in Delhi. Then we came back and we went to Maldives for our honeymoon. And then as soon as we came back from Maldives, we went all around India to complete the Amazon shoot. So we ended up going to Northeast. We went to
Gujarat. We went
South in Tamil. We went to Madhya Pradesh,
We went to, yeah.
Uttarakhand.
Then we came
and-
back to Delhi for a main shoot
Yeah. So yeah, we ended up doing a lot.
of domestic travel during that time.
Yeah. But that was all very like brand shoot level. So we didn't experience travel as much. And I think that's when we started really like doing fast travel. That's when we got
Yeah.
our first dose of fast travel.
And we understood very early on. We
Yeah.
acted on it late.
Yeah.
So at that time, we needed someone to host us because finance wise, we were still figuring it out for
Yeah.
ourselves. So we couldn't do longer trips. We could do shorter trips because that's what we were able to afford at those times.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that Amazon shoot and got paid really less. Now that I'm here, I can say it out loud. We settled for an amount that at that time seemed so big.
It was big.
But right
at that
now,
point.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we worked for a month at that price point. But yeah, anyway, we got paid really less, but we ended up traveling a lot, which was a nice give and take. And then after Amazon, what did we do after Amazon?
Then started the bigger trips.
I think so, yeah. We started getting invited a lot. So we
Yeah.
weren't investing as much in our trips because we were getting invited a lot. So and also I just want to clarify, when I say we were getting invited, we weren't getting hosted for everything. So sometimes we'd have to pay for the flights, or sometimes we'd have to pay for our food and transportation to and from the hotel or whatever. So it wasn't still like 100%.
Yeah, that first
Compensation.
year was pretty much like, even if they're hosting us partially, that was okay for us. It was still a discount compared to full price.
Yeah.
And we wanted to travel. I think in the back of our minds was also a bit of content.
Yeah, we were.
Like, how
for
do we
sure,
create
for
content if we
sure.
don't travel?
For sure. And I think that's when we pigeonholed ourselves as travel creators, because all we were putting online was our travel stuff. People assumed we were traveling a lot, which we were, to be fair, but people assumed we were traveling every day and we were just living out of suitcases. But that wasn't the case. We had so much content that we were posting every day. So it seemed like we were traveling every day, but we were actually at home in our beds, in our pajamas, posting from North India or whatever.
Yeah, we understood how to create a lot of content in shorter trips.
Yeah.
But even on our honeymoon, we were creating content. I was super excited that we were getting invited.
Hmm.
I always imagined what it would be like to be this person creating content. Like, I had read a lot of travel vlogs, I'd seen YouTubers, and to first time be on the other side and be that person felt good. I was confused on how we're going to create a career out of this full time, because there was no clarity on how someone from India does it. There are a lot of international people who we looked up to.
Yeah, I know what you mean. On YouTube, it is fairly easy to have a consistent income because YouTube pays for ad revenue. Brands were really into YouTube, paying a lot more money. Instagram Reels had just launched. It was barely a few months old, and nobody was making money from Instagram Reels, and brands weren't really paying for Reels. So yeah, we didn't really know how to make money, but it was fun trying to get our feet dirty and our hands dirty and figure it out by ourselves. It was super confusing. We didn't make a lot of money. We barely had enough at the end of the month. But whatever we did make was almost all of it spent on travel or on equipment so that we could travel and make better content.
Yeah, I think since day one, we have all been about taking chances. I love that about us.
Yeah.
Like, even right now, the type of life we're building, it's about taking those chances, because you don't know what's on the other side until you don't try it out.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we were doing in the first year of traveling and creating content, just taking a chance and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
But doing it with 100% of us into it. No half-heartedness, no half-assing it. It is our plan A and our only plan. It's still our plan A.
Even though we have a degree, we didn't use it the way most people do. It was hard in the beginning to convince our parents. We didn't know we were going to do it forever. We showed them
Yeah, we
by
did.
doing it.
We did. Like it took that first few months, and obviously our parents have been supportive since the start.
Yeah.
And they have been like, okay, do it. But even they didn't know where is this really going.
Yeah.
And once they saw us online and like people getting back to them and going, are these your kids? They were so proud. Like they would talk to us about that.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. That first year, all these emotions, confusion, excitement, all mixed together. It was a great first year.
It was a good first year. We didn't have any crazy setbacks. We made enough to not have another job. We got to travel and work with cool brands. So
It was a nice first year.
what about a second year? When did we start? Where did we go? Do
So-
you remember?
Yes, I remember the second year. We were finding it tough to get a travel thing work out for us because of one or two things falling through, but got canned at the end. I remember Sri Lanka happened this time.
No,
Wait.
you're right. But we started our second year with another trip to Goa, which you forgot to mention. Is we did a full circle after that Goa, and this time we worked with Marriott because they invited us. And it was a really big deal because the first time we went to Goa, we maxed out our credit cards to pay for the Airbnb.
Oh, I still so remember.
This time we got invited by Marriott to stay at their property. So it was like a full circle of that first year. And anyway, after Goa, we ended up going to Sri Lanka, which was also another hosted trip. It was really fun. My birthday trip, we got to do some really cool things.
And yeah, this Sri Lanka trip was pretty cool as well. And again, it was partially sponsored, partially us into it.
We got to do a hot air balloon for the first time.
We did a paramotoring experience as well.
Yeah, we did a safari. We
collaborated with international hotel stays, which was our first time doing that
Yeah.
because we had been doing it domestic till then.
Yeah. And then after we came back from Sri Lanka, we ended up going on a cruise to Lakshadweep. And then after we came back from Lakshadweep, we went back to Andaman again because we were like, we are not done with Andaman. And this time it was open and COVID had died down by this time. So we got to do everything we wanted to do. And we got certified.
We got certified for being scuba divers. So
in
it was
Andaman. That's when we
pretty
started our
cool
scuba
thing.
diving journey.
You will find out in future episodes that we really love the ocean.
Yeah.
And this was the time we understood that how beautiful life is under the surface of water.
Yeah. So we did our
Right.
course there, stayed for 2 weeks, and then we came back from Andaman. We went to Punjab, where my family is from. We did like a family trip to Punjab. And then from Punjab, we ended up going to Dharamshala for the first time.
For the first time.
We did a staycation in Dharamshala, which was really fun. We fell in love with Dharamshala and we ended up going like a few more times after that. Then there was a lot of travel. We went to Maldives, we went to Singapore, we went to Bali and we fell in love with Bali. We
Oh.
stayed there for a month and had our first experience with slow travel. Then we went to Singapore again on a cruise. We went to Kashmir. We went to Egypt for our anniversary. We did another scuba diving course in Egypt and got certified as advanced scuba divers. We ended up going to Dubai again, Abu Dhabi, were invited both times. That's how we finished that second year. We moved out from Harsh's parents' house and
We-
rented our own space.
That was the moment we realized, like, we felt very super grown up.
Yeah, we felt like we made it. We made a lot of money in that second year, much more compared to our first, which allowed us to travel and also to move out. Up until that point, we were staying at Harsh's parents' house. It was a nice arrangement because we were traveling a lot. We'd only come back to Mumbai, like we'd call it our layovers in Mumbai because we weren't really living in Mumbai. We were traveling so much. But then in that second year, I think we started wanting more space and we started creating a lot of at-home content also, which required more space. We figured out a way to save some money and move out by the end. And that's how we finished our second year.
Yeah. That second year was definitely a growing up
Yeah,
phase
it
in
was
life
a notch above the first one.
in terms of being individuals, in our marriage, in terms of our career. Everything was showing us results of all the effort we put in. Because the
Mhm.
first year was all about taking chances and just going for it, creating that content.
Yeah, and seeing how it turns out. But the second year, we really started getting the fruits of our labors and we started getting recognized a lot more, not just by brands, but also by random people at the airport.
Yeah.
It was cool when we started getting recognized and almost everyone who would recognize us was also a traveler. So we were never recognized in Mumbai, but we would always get recognized when we were abroad. So we were meeting people when we were in Bali, in Singapore, Egypt. It was insane to see that the community we were building were also travelers and people who love to travel and who were traveling themselves. And that's where we would end up meeting and bumping into.
Yeah, and always feels so nice to meet someone at the airport and going. And they tell us that, you know what, this trip is planned with the help of the content you created.
Yeah, that's always nice to
And
hear.
it feels so good to hear that the work we're putting out there is really giving the impact that we aim for it to be. And then year 3.
And then we start year 3. Yeah, we started year 3 with a trip to Pondicherry. We
found a cute
Airbnb. I remember the host. She was
so
the
sweet.
best. She would make
cooked
us
meals.
breakfast every day. She upgraded us to the best room. It was the best experience.
Yeah, and we extended our stay with her as well.
Yeah, because we were just like,
enjoyed that
okay,
stay.
6 days are not enough. We have to stay here for a couple weeks at least.
And while in Pondicherry, we got an invite to go to Kenya.
Which in like within 10 days of the trip ending, we were like, okay, why not? We're not doing anything else.
Yeah, let's go to Kenya. Let's see the lions in the wild.
Yeah, and then we went to Masai Mara
Oh.
and we had the best African safari experience ever.
Like, if ever you're planning a trip where you want to experience wildlife in real,
Yeah,
go to Masai
Masai
Mara.
Mara
Go to
has to be
Kenya,
that
yeah.
space. That's actually where this podcast idea was born. We
Yes.
were in a lodge in Kenya having a wine before dinner, and I said, why is there a camera not recording what we're talking right now? And
I remember that.
and you were like, we should. And then I was like, shouldn't we? And that's where the idea of starting a podcast was born in January 2023. But now we're acting on it. So yeah, that only goes to show that it takes a really long time from something to come as an idea into your brain to life, because you can't always act on everything, even though you might want to, even though your heart says you have to. It might not be the right time. The right time will reveal itself to you. And now I'm getting philosophical here. But yeah, this is the right time to start our podcast a year and a half after Kenya. Kenya was amazing.
I felt like I was living a Lion King movie. Like I was a part of a movie or part of a nature documentary, really.
Yeah. And then after Kenya, we went to Philippines for my birthday. We've made my birthday a tradition to always be abroad. So in 2023, we went to Philippines, and that's actually the first time I remember not wanting to be where I was. That's the first time I remember having those feelings of, I'm not happy here. We didn't have good weather and we didn't book the best stays. And it was just a dull trip overall. But I just remember feeling unhappy for the first time traveling. And that was in Philippines. So we were like, we need to do something about it.
And we went to Bali. Bali is always a good idea. I remember you having a tough time. It was your birthday also. And I remember that stays were not as you imagined it. The weather was not working out. And the continuity of our travels and work came together, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think I finally started admitting, or not even admitting, I finally started recognizing that I was feeling it. Maybe I was already feeling it before. I finally recognized it and I put words to what I was feeling. I was like, this is not nice. I don't want to be feeling this. So I guess going to Bali was probably not the best decision because I escaped that thought. I put a stopper to it when I could have explored it more and figured out what was going wrong. A lot of things ended up going wrong. But yeah, I ended up pushing to escape to Bali, and we went to Bali and had an amazing time. Bali is always a good idea. Then we got invited to go to Australia.
yes, by the tourism board.
Yeah. So
That's
we
pretty
were
cool.
like, are you going to fly us from Bali to Australia because it's 4 hours? And they were like, no, you go back to Mumbai. We're like, okay,
We're like,
whatever.
"ठीक है, हमें तो चलेगा."
So we went back to Mumbai and then to Australia. We came back to the same region and were in Australia for 2 weeks. For the first 7-8 days, we were invited by the tourism board. Then we extended it for the remaining 6-7 days and did Sydney by ourselves. I love Australia. That's when the speed of trips really started intensifying and I started getting more, what's the word? I started getting more flustered. I
Huh.
started getting more sensitive to the speed of those trips and they started getting to me much more. By then, I was just living on that adrenaline and living on the rush and it was all fine. But now that in Philippines, I finally admitted that something was wrong, I just started seeing that happen everywhere, no matter where we were. Even though the trip was fantastic, something was not right, but I couldn't pinpoint what was not right. After Australia,
Oh, wait. I
We
think
did.
after Australia, we did our first group trip.
yeah, we hosted a group trip to
To
Maldives.
That was a fun experience.
Yeah.
We
We'd
first time
always
met people
get-
from our
yeah,
community.
We'd always get questions on when we'd
Do a group trip. And
Yeah.
finally, we decided that let's do it. And it was fun because we were meeting people from our community. And one memorable part of this experience was that we wanted to share our love for the ocean with people from our community. We added a scuba diving experience to this. And
Mm.
there were a bunch of people who didn't really
But
jump into water before.
yeah, and they'd never even been swimming. We went scuba diving. We felt really proud to be
We felt
able
really proud.
to share that with them.
They were so empowered. They did more water activities on their own, even like beyond the ones we were offering. So it was
Yeah.
pretty fun to see that
Yeah,
happen.
some went to snorkel with sharks,
Snorkel with
which
sharks. I
was
mean, like
so cool.
we also didn't do that.
Yeah, we also didn't do that.
So it was very cool.
Yeah, so yeah, we hosted that group trip and then came back. And I remember at that time, I was just like, I need a break. I found this pottery retreat in Dharamshala. We'd already been to Dharamshala in year two, so we knew how the place was and we'd really loved it. So I went by myself for 5 days. Harsh accompanied me, but did something else. That was my first social media detox.
Oh yeah,
In
I
in
remember. Yeah,
in 2.5 years, I stopped using Instagram and I stopped working for 5 days. That was like my first vacation. And that was really nice. It was a really nice reset. But again, never got into the root of it. And I just ooper say did a nice cleanup. I still didn't figure what was wrong really. After that,
oh, after that, we went to South India
yeah.
with the GoPro family. We
Yeah.
became official GoPro family members.
GoPro India had been following our work for some time and they reached out to us and invited us to come meet them. And we went to South India. We did a little bit of surfing and then we got induced into the family. And
So that was a fun experience.
yeah, we met some creators I had been following before we became creators. They were at the same event and we were all equals at that event. I just remember going like, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with you as soon as we met everyone and we came to the room. And I remember telling you, can you believe it? We are here. GoPro recognized your work. They want us to be part of the family. And also these creators who we've been looking up to for so many years,
Yeah.
they are like our friends now. We hang out with them. I love this.
I was pretty cool. I remember that too. It was, even though the GoPro event was just 2 days, it was just a big deal for us.
Then
Very
we took
proud
our
of it.
siblings to Mauritius. This was definitely special. We've been wanting to do something with our siblings, and Mauritius just fell in place. We both are elder siblings, and
Yeah.
we felt really like doing grown up moves when we told them that you guys just tell us whether you're available on these dates. We're going to book the flights, we're going to make all the stay and arrangements. So just tell us that part. And the confidence with which we did it,
Yeah.
just to think about it now, also like, wow.
And that was a really nice trip because
Yeah.
we got to spend a lot of quality time with our siblings. And as you said, we felt so proud to do it.
And I know both of them were also so happy that they could fly internationally and experience this with us.
It was my brother's first international trip. We did a lot of travel in year 3. We went to Dubai again, a
And-
bunch of more GoPro trips, Maldives again. We made a trip to Iceland and paid for everything. It was our most expensive trip until that point, but we wanted to make it happen. It was our second anniversary. We did a road trip around Iceland. We saw the Northern Lights, the number one thing on my bucket list. From the day I met Harsh 8 years ago, I told him I want to see the Northern Lights. We finally saw them. Beautiful. Every day of that trip, I felt so alive.
We rented a car and drove around the ring road, circling a major portion of Iceland. Every day we saw something special. One day we spotted 7 rainbows in one drive.
7 rainbows in a day.
It was insane. The Northern Lights. We went to the Diamond Beach where the ice crystals are formed in such a way against black sand that they look like diamonds, and they do. And we stayed in some amazing spots.
The cutest Airbnbs
Yeah.
and farm stays we've ever been in.
And the whole trip was funded by us. It shows that if you put in the effort, you have a vision, you will figure it out.
The people who went to Goa for the first time after maxing out their credit cards on an Airbnb now go to Iceland and fund everything by themselves. Sometimes I can't believe we live this life.
I'm truly grateful. Okay, we were going into a different zone of gratitude now. What was our next thing?
We did another group trip in
Hmm.
year 3. We went to Bali. We hosted 20 people from all around the world. Harsh broke his leg like
Yeah.
the day before we were supposed to fly to Bali.
So Prachi was doing most of the hosting
I
part.
did most of the hosting. I realized I'm so much more capable than I give myself credit for because I always thought that I'm this introvert, shy little person. But I was able to host that trip and then also take care of all the things that went wrong on that trip because my God, so many things that went wrong.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to tell you that I really appreciate you for handling that trip all on your own
Yeah.
and figuring it out. You Went out of your comfort zone and made it happen.
It's not my strong suit, but I did it. It was fun because after the group trip finished, Harsh and I were still in Bali for a week and we still got to relax and I still got to relax and have some spa days and enjoy my time in Bali. That's how I always like to remember Bali. Slow travel, slow days, yoga class, drinks on the beach and watching the sunset. And that's how I always like to remember Bali. So that's how we finished that trip. Then we went to the UK and that's how we finished year 3 of travels. It was a lot of fast paced travel, international trips, and collaborations with big brands. But we ended up getting burnt out. And by we, I mean I specifically ended up getting burnt out, but I didn't recognize that I was burnt out yet. I was just still living every day as if I have 100% energy every day. But yeah, I ended that year feeling really burnt out. Then we started our 4th year of travel, which is ongoing, but it's different from the last 3 years. We've gotten a lot more aware.
This year has been so much more different from the previous 3 years. We started with a trip to Thailand, where we first time traveled with our friends. The main agenda or the main idea of going to Thailand was to attend the Coldplay concert, and we made that happen. Also, we went to Thailand for a longer duration. It was pretty cool. Before we met our friends and siblings, we stayed in places like Koh Samui and explored slow travel. I fell in love with Thailand.
Me too, yeah. It was really beautiful.
The waters are amazing.
Especially Koh Samui.
Koh Samui
I think
is
we're
a vibe.
island people.
We're island people
For
for
sure.
sure. For sure. Thailand was fun. After Thailand, we went to Argentina, another bucket list trip. And the reason we were going to Argentina is because it was a pit stop to go into Antarctica. And just can't believe that I can say that we are two people over here who have been to Antarctica and enjoyed those things. Like, it is just surreal.
Yeah. And we were invited to do it.
And we were invited to do it.
Yeah, we still ended up paying a lot of money to get to Argentina in the first place and then also spend 2 weeks in Argentina, I guess.
Yeah. So just a little backstory. We got an invite to be there like a year earlier.
Yeah, so in our 2nd year of travel, we got an invite to be there, but we couldn't afford it that time.
Yeah, but a year ahead, we figured out how the finances, we figured out how to really make it happen. And we had the confidence that we can pull off such a long
Yeah,
trip.
I think one thing I forgot to mention is for such a long time, in that first few years, I had imposter syndrome because I couldn't believe that I was a traveler. When people would ask us for tips, advice on booking flights or like where to go and suggestions on their honeymoon, like a trip that they're going to take for a first and only time in their life, they'd come to us for suggestions. And I didn't know because I didn't allow myself to process those trips completely. I had imposter syndrome trying to believe we were travelers. But once we went to Antarctica, I was like, okay, yes, we are travelers, we're explorers.
That trip to Antarctica was a dream trip.
Yeah.
The things we saw.
We went on that cruise for 12 days and we saw whales like every day. We wouldn't even get up after the 5th day to see a humpback whale because we were like, we've seen 50 already. Tell me if it's a sperm whale or a fin whale.
We saw penguins in the wild. They're super cute. So a little stinky as well, but super
Very
cute.
stinky. We made so many friends.
So many friends. And we heard so many stories which were so inspiring to us as well about people pushing boundaries. They left their jobs, or they're going to join a new job after the trip. Some of them are doing their retirement trips. So
some of them had taken a year off to travel.
So it was fun to interact with all these people and just see their life stories and just share where we are also from. Now, all in all, that was a fun trip.
Yeah, but there was a little
the Antarctica time was great, but as soon as we got back
and we're in
Patagonia,
Argentina,
things got derailed and we started feeling lower. We started feeling a sense of burnout and all those feelings which we got the previous year with consecutive travels, trips, and work. It all came together that
when we were in Antarctica on that cruise for 12 days, we didn't have any internet. So we were forced to be away from social media for 12 days, which we hadn't chosen to. For all those years until that trip, we hadn't chosen to take a break. And that Dharamshala retreat was a 5-day trip, a 5-day break that I'd given myself. But I don't think you had taken a single day's break.
No, I've not really taken any break.
So in Antarctica, 12 days without internet, without social media, just completely present in the wild and completely present with all these new people you're meeting and the penguins that you're having, a picnic with. It really, like, when we came back from Antarctica and when we came back to connectivity and we were bombarded with all these messages and requests and all the work, it was just like, why? It felt like, why am I doing this? Why do we have to record videos of our travels? Even though recording videos of our travels has
empowered us to be doing what we're doing right
and has gotten us to Antarctica. I don't want to seem ungrateful. I guess I was just burnt out. I had a panic attack, anxiety attack, whatever you want to call it. I broke down one day in Argentina. That was the start of the unraveling of my personal journey that I went on to. After Antarctica, we were supposed to actually be in Argentina for longer, but I guess the burnout really hit me and we preponed our flight tickets to India and we just came back and we ended that trip short and we came back earlier. I decided to take a complete stop, not just press pause, but to completely press stop on work and on all collabs, on all video recordings, on all travels. I needed to do that for my mental health because I felt like I couldn't continue without losing my mind. We came back from Argentina and I went off social media for 3 months. And I actually planned to just do it for 1 month, but then I felt so amazing after that first month that I continued on for 3 months. And I did all my processing of those last few years, all the processing of the travels, of the learnings, of everything I ended up doing in those 3 months. And that's when I finally recognized how painful travel had become for me and all these back to back trips and all this back to back flights and how I was not living in alignment with who I was. I was just chasing money and fame and followers and numbers and a very masculine capitalistic definition of success that I realized that's not really what I wanted. I wanted something different, but the world we live in makes you feel like you're supposed to chase those things. So having that quiet time to reflect and to afford to take a break from work and to afford to not earn anything for 3 months was like a blessing for me.
I'm glad you took that break. You needed it. 3+ years of continuous work, travel, content creation. There was no break. The fun went away from it.
Yeah, it just stopped being fun.
I'm glad that you took that break. When you took that break, even I got time to reflect on where I am with things because we paused on a bit of things. We both needed that time. You needed to pause and I needed to reflect and see where it goes from here. We took and we just knew that we had to take it because sometimes there's this very clear calling and you got to grab onto those signs. So a level of mental break, but also how to be more proactive, how to channel my creative energy. I was pushing my creative boundaries, things which I didn't touch upon earlier because I was like so chill. Prachi's making everything. So like I had a few ideas, but this was the time I was really trying to understand whether I can pull this off on my own. And it was great for me to understand that I can. I was able to create some great stuff and I was able to interact on a way that we were already doing in the past. That's why people felt that did we even take a social media break or not? So in that way for me to reflect in terms of career was good. So where you could pause it, I could enhance my skills on that front.
Yeah.
So that balance.
We've made a major lifestyle and a social media change as we changed our handle from Two Tickets to Freedom to our names, which is Prachi and Harsh. We are more than people who just make travel content. So we wanted the name change to reflect that. We changed our content strategy. We stopped just making travel videos and started making life mindsets and recipe videos. We started doing whatever we wanted because it's our page. We decided to show a real version of who we are and not just this glorified, glamorized travel life.
During this time, we didn't know what the future is with the travel part of our life because we traveled so much. So we were confused whether do we like traveling or not.
Or have we
the
just
thing.
gotten used to traveling because it gives good content and the content has good reach and then the reach equals to money. And so, yeah, we got confused as to were we traveling to travel to satisfy our soul or were we traveling to
For
satisfy the
others.
bank account?
Yeah. But eventually, we did realize that we love travel.
Yeah, we can't live without traveling.
Travel is very close to our hearts.
We get to find ourselves when we travel.
Yeah.
We get to find each other when we travel and we get to meet all these amazing people and learn all these new things when we travel.
So yeah, all we needed to do was change the way we travel.
Yeah.
And that's what we figured with this gap that we took. So here we are. And we decided that we will slow travel now. Instead of hopping places, having a jam-packed itinerary.
And following a bucket list, we decided to actually just do what we wanted to do and go to places that are not on everyone's top 10 list of places to visit before you die. We want to go where we want to go, not because it's a part of some list. So here we are in Cape Town because we thought it would be a cool place to come to.
We're here for more than a month. And it's crazy. This whole trip is just in Cape Town. We're not hopping many places in South Africa.
We're spending all our time in Cape Town because we realized with especially the Bali trips we've done and also with Thailand where we were in one spot for a long time, we realized that's how we really like to be in places where we can make a little home base in that new place and get to experience it like a local. So that's what we're doing right now and how we intend to travel going forward.
We're already 2 weeks in Cape Town and it has been amazing. I personally love the place.
I love it too. Can we move here?
I knew that was coming. Every day is stunning. It's winter time here, but we have been very lucky.
Mm.
The sun has been out, it
Very
rains
nice weather.
sometimes, and we've been living at Sea Point, which is the like how do I describe it? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Today is the second place we came to just to get a nature retreat. Slow travel is great. We get to enjoy the routine of life wherever we go.
We get to maintain our healthy habits and our lifestyle, especially the new ones I've added after this social media break, where I go in nature and read books and journal and do movement exercises and yoga. And we get to do that even when traveling.
It is something we're doing for the first time. It is a good unraveling for us. We saw others do it. We just didn't know how to pull it off.
Also, we couldn't afford it in the beginning.
Money was a constraint.
Even now,
It's
tight.
But we're making it happen.
Everyone's asking us on Instagram right now in our DMs, how do you afford to travel so much? And how are you affording to stay in Cape Town for so long? Answer is even we don't know. We're trying to figure it out every day.
I told Prachi we should
Prepone our flight and go back home because we don't have enough money.
because funds look tight. But then something came through and we had a conversation and we just came to a realization that if we don't push through now, if instead of asking ourselves how do we make it happen,
How do we make the money to stay here for long?
yeah, we should think from that perspective. So that's a mindset switch we did. And so we're going to stay here the whole stretch. And yeah, it's a challenge we're putting ourselves through. Plus, at the same time, enjoying this type of travel. So I think 1 week into the trip, I went to Prachi and I went, listen, babe, I think we need to cut our trip short
To prepone our flight.
because finance looks tight.
Yeah.
I remember that day and the next day where I came back to you and we had this whole conversation about, okay, let's try to think differently.
He was like a new man that
Yeah,
second day.
And I just told her that forget what I told you yesterday. Just ignore the fact that I told that to you. I want to think from a different perspective. Rather than cut back on our trip because funds are tight, I want to think how do we make this trip happen? Prachi was on the same page. I went back to Prachi and I told her we need to change our mindset about this trip.
How do we earn money even when we're traveling? Because if realistically we want to slow travel, we're going to have to figure out a way to earn money while traveling. Up until now, the way we earn money is mostly through brand collabs. And brand collabs happen when you're in India and you can get the product because they deliver it to your house and then you can shoot with the product. But now we're trying to figure out ways to earn money even when we're traveling. We're still figuring out. The answer is that we don't have all the answers. We're confused, but we're doing it.
We accept it. That theek hai. We like to take chances, experiment
We
things.
like to take risks. That's our personalities. And some days we have tough days trying to make peace with the fact that we take risks because some days the fear gets to us. But then most days we live with the mindset of that it's going to work out. We live with the mindset of it's going to take care of itself and we're doing our best. Money is flowing to us.
An abundance way of thinking.
Yeah.
And this is something we have learned with time. We have grown as individuals.
Yeah.
It's something also we are educating ourselves on.
Yeah. We'd love to dive into more of these things in future episodes.
Absolutely.
And that's why we started this podcast to express whatever we're learning, dealing with, going through in a more honest manner rather than making reels on Instagram that glamorize a lifestyle.
So here we are in Cape Town, slow traveling. We have completed week 2 and we still have 3 weeks ahead of us. We have decided that we're going to make this trip work. It's a very different trip from all our other trips. Also, we decided that we're going to finally start this podcast. So even though you must have noticed that there are a lot of sounds around us, someone just came from across the street. People are moving around.
They parked and checked into the flat above ours.
We decided to keep going.
I've let perfection ruin a lot in my life. I'm not going to let it ruin more things going forward. I decide to not be perfect, to embrace imperfection. Like the lighting right now, I can't control when the sun comes in. I'm trying to embrace imperfection, let my perfectionist attitude take a break, retire, embrace not knowing all the answers and take it one day at a time.
Beautiful. On that note, let's end this podcast.
Thank you for tuning in. If you watched until the very end, you have our deepest appreciation. We are so grateful for you and the time you decided to spend with us. And we hope you got some value out of this podcast. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. So if you're watching us on YouTube, drop a comment below. Or if you're hearing us on Spotify or any other audio podcasting place, maybe do a follow. Or I don't know how that works yet. But whatever you can to support us, please do, because that'll mean the world to us.
We are still figuring it out.
We have no idea how it works.
But we start.
Yeah.
Starting
And
is the first step.
yeah, that's like our motto is
Yeah.
we do it and then we figure out how to continue doing it. And that's what we're doing with the podcast and our life and everything in between.
At the root of everything, we want to be candid, share our stories, our learnings, and make you a part of this journey more authentically.
Thank you for
Thank
tuning in.
you.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Have a great day. Bye.
Toodaloo! Why did I end it saying toodaloo? No, no, no. Bye.